Here he is. Hello, Scott.
Morning, how are we? Or afternoon, sorry. My apologies. How are you?
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you. Are you hearing me okay?
Yeah, all clear. All clear.
Perfect, very good.
Okay, first of all, thanks a lot for giving us your time and coming on our series.
Not at all. Thank you for having me. It's a privilege to
Yeah.
be asked
I was given your name
and
by
invited
Nick.
on.
Nick. Yeah. Okay, cool. I just got to do a few formalities. My name's Andrew McKenna. I'm the founder of the African Turf Academy. I started a series just to showcase for our students the opportunities in the golf industry around the world. I've tried to get the top guys in the industry from all over the world. And Scott, your name came up. So it's obviously a compliment to what you've been doing over the years. So Scott is the director of, correct me if I get my facts wrong, Scott, but I'm going with it. You're the director of agronomy for Gulf Saudi,
Yep, that's correct.
based in Riyadh.
Yep, absolutely.
Based in Riyadh, and you were formerly the agronomy consultant for the European Tour.
Yeah, that's correct. I was
Okay,
indeed.
so all right, so we've got the formalities out of the way. I'm going to go with some questions. I've got one quick question for you, sent to me from your mate James Bledge. He says, Queen of the South or Air United?
Oh dear, that's I think Queen of the South without a shadow of a doubt.
Okay, all right. Then we're going to go on to my questions. Augusta or St Andrews?
St Andrews.
Okay. And Jack or Tiger?
Tiger.
Okay, so the younger guy, when I say young, anyone below 45 tends to go for Tiger. Anyone older than 45 tends to go for Jack. Okay, we're going to get into what I'm really looking to hear from you today is your journey through the industry. You've obviously had quite an exciting career. Whether you think that or not, it doesn't matter. It's you've made it here. So you started. What's interesting for me is our students are studying the NC Elmwood program, and I believe you started with Elmwood, and then you went on to further your studies with Mayor's Co and Penn State. So just give us a background how you got into the industry.
Yeah, I started as a 14-year-old kid raking bunkers at the weekends at the local golf course. To make a bit of money, I was making £1.85 an hour. My mum was waking me up at 6 o'clock in the morning and kicking me out of the house to go and rake these bunkers, which I was determined myself to do. It was nothing to do. My parents were happy to let me, but it was totally me that wanted to go and do it. I then started working in the summers, divoting fairways, fly mowing, strimming, with a great team at West Kilbride, a small golf course on the Ayrshire coast. Yeah, do you know?
I played it. Yeah.
It's amazing. West Kilbride's the hub of golf, I think. The amount of people you meet that either know of West Kilbride or are from West Kilbride is amazing.
I played the Scottish Boys Championship there. I played the Scottish Boys Championship there in, I don't know what year. I was probably 16, so it would have been 1990.
Right, cool. So I did my summer work there. I absolutely hated school as a kid. And was determined I was leaving. So after my standard grades, I made a deal with my mother that if I stayed on for a year and did my hires, then I had their blessing to leave school as long as I could find myself a trade. So the day I finished my hires, I came back into the house and said, Mum, I'm going to work at the golf course. And she didn't think I would do it. So that was when I started. So I started at West Kilbride and continued working there, and eventually went to Elmwood College to do my SVQ2 block release, where I met James Bledge, would be one of the guys that I met. He was a full-timer there. Did 2 weeks a year, 3 times a year, and did my on-the-job training. Finished my SVQ2 and then moved into SVQ3. But it was probably a little bit too early for me to do SVQ3. I was a young guy, just got involved in the industry, and it was more of a kind of management level. But having the determination that I have, I got through it and annoyed people to help me, and eventually got the qualification. From there, I then moved that was kind of the end of my education for the time being. I moved down to Wentworth to work for Chris Kennedy. He took me down there. A friend of mine from West Kilbride had moved down previously, and a year later I went down, followed him down, and worked for him, and moved through the 3 courses, and worked a lot of the time for Ian Morrison in the Edinburgh course, which was good fun. I loved my time at Wentworth. It was, and I spent about 5 years there, and then got a bit fed up and decided it was time for something different. So I applied for a job and got called in for an interview, and the next thing I knew, I was on a plane to Spain for the first time ever, never having set a foot in Spain. I was moving over there as the deputy to Tony Bonnet at El Valle for Polaris World in Murcia.
Yep.
I did a few years over there and crossed paths with the Elmwood guys a few times, so it was good. They ran a students programme through FIGA, and again, the teachers came over, and a lot of the students that were there are now in high positions and have done really well for themselves. So then I moved to the European Tour, and I stayed there for 12 years, being the agronomy consultant.
So how did you get that job?
So I was friendly with a guy called Roger Stilwell in Murcia, who was working at Rhoda Golf Club. And me and Roger used to go out and meet an odd time for an odd beverage. And I was having a bit of a moan, saying I'd kind of had enough and was ready for a move and thinking, didn't know what to do. And he kind of said, would you like to travel? So, don't really know. I've never really thought about it.
Yeah.
So he said, there's an email address, send your CV. I think this person's got opportunities coming up, which actually turned out to be his sister, who worked for his father, who was the head agronomy on the European Tour. At that point, I didn't even know the agronomy team existed. So I went down to this interview, not really knowing what I was going into, and not really knowing what job I was going for. Had an interview, it went very well, and got the job. So it just shows you there's another point of networking. Putting you in the right place, and it doesn't matter where you do it. If you're speaking to the right people, it can open doors for you. I've spent 12 years on tour.
So tell us about that role. What does it mean to be an agronomy consultant on the European Tour?
So generally, we would go into golf courses that are holding tournaments, anything from 2 years to 3 months before, doing regular visits, checking the condition, checking that things were up to the standard that was expected for the European Tour, to see how it was performing, practices that were being performed. In some cases, there was very little guidance was needed, and maybe small tips as to how we could make it better for a European Tour event. It's quite different too. So
you would change it would be more about the playability of the golf course rather than the technical side of the growth of the grass and the machinery and.
In some cases,
what would you be looking for?
Well, some places it would be. Other places that needed more help, possibly with varying conditions, they would need more help, and then it would be full agronomic programs that we'd help them out with. So everything from fertilizer applications, pesticide applications, cultural practices, full programs to get them to the standard that's expected. And a lot of the time it was to guide guys through, because it's quite a daunting prospect. People see a European Tour event, but they don't realise how much actually goes into that event prior to it. So there's a lot. Head greenkeepers and superintendents are being pulled from pillar to post, everybody wants a piece of them. So we could almost act as a barrier to help them, support them, and help their way through. We were always at the end, or still are, the guys still are, at the end of a phone to help out with any of them. All of us have got great experience. All the guys on the tour had great experience because they're doing, 12 tournaments minimum in a year. So they're seeing problems in and again. And so to pick up the phone, if somebody's got a problem and they pick up the phone, the guys were there to help.
Yeah.
Then
So
build up to the...
it would be very much a supporting role that the tour was offering the golf clubs.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Did you ever find that the sorry to keep? I'm interested in this. So,
okay.
Did you ever find any resistance from the head greenkeepers when you were coming in and maybe challenging their knowledge?
Yeah, I mean, it's always their own way, and they want to do their own methods, and it's a big week of the year for them. So yeah, we had a lot of you get a lot of resistance, but generally that was to start with. Once greenkeepers tended to get to know you, because you tend to go back to the same venue year in, year out. So once guys got to know you and realised you weren't there to take their job, you weren't there to have them fired, you were there to assist them, and generally when people listened, the outcomes were better. They would take less criticism. You were a barrier of defence for them, so it became better and better, and relationships developed year upon year, and these guys we all became friends.
Yeah, I see.
Once you get over that initial hurdle.
I see someone from Karen Country Club in Kenya. I think
Daniel.
His name is Instagram name isn't Daniel, but it probably is Daniel.
Yeah.
He said he had his best time working for you in Karen Country Club. But that's in Nairobi, right?
Yeah, that's in the centre of Nairobi. Yeah, that was good fun. It was always good fun going down there. Daniel's a good guy, very knowledgeable. Worked very hard to improve the golf course. But okay. the agronomy team on the tour are great. The full team on the tour are great. I mean, Eddie, Graham and Eugene are, if you have a tournament and you have one of them in, tapping into that knowledge that they have will be no end of benefit to you. They've got huge experience and they're all very approachable and willing to help.
So would you have been around during a tournament week, or by that time would you have been done with your work?
Yeah, generally we would go in 10 days before or 7 days before the first day of the tournament, just to do some help, doing some fine tuning, make sure everything was in the right places, and that they look for the playability, things that might be unfair, conditions that might need improved, or these guys are playing for a lot of money, so try and eliminate luck from as much of the golf as you could. So yeah, we'd spend 10 days and fine-tune things, so speed greens up and work on watering programs, etc.
Okay, and your favourite venue that you visited on the tour's rota?
Well, you've already mentioned it already. I would say Karen would be one of my favourite weeks on tour. It was always an enjoyable week going down there. Yeah, when I first went down, the course really wasn't up to much, but they were a challenge tour event. They had major problems, but the club invested. The club have invested in the golf course and really developed it so well that it's now on the main tour, and it's a great advert for golf in Kenya when the tournament does go there, to have it televised.
Amazing country.
Absolutely. Every week was all good, and every week I enjoyed most weeks. You obviously have a stressful week if the golf course isn't up to standard, and it can be difficult, but generally it was good weeks on tour, and it was good fun doing it.
Okay, James Pledge is saying that he worked with you at Cran-sur-Cieux with Hector Forsan. Forsan, is it?
Yeah, Forsan. Hector Forsan.
Biggest legend in greenkeeping.
Yeah, Hector's a good lad. Hector's one of the good guys. Okay. He was up in the mountain for 5 years, and he brought a lot of volunteers up there. It was always good fun when Hector was around. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. And one of our past students is asking. Every so often we get questions from the viewers. We take them. Harry is asking, have you ever been at a golf course where the greenkeeper got fired because of not complying with your rules?
In my full time on tour, absolutely not. I was more of a support mechanism. I would rather see guys improve their golf course and try and help them. People have to want to be helped though, and if their golf course isn't up to standard. So to my knowledge, no, I've never been at a golf course that the greenkeeper hasn't seen through the tournament.
Yeah, I think the idea of your role is to encourage them, improve them, rather than to catch them out, right?
Absolutely. And I mean, there is a bit of a myth went around at one point that we did get guys out of job, but I would say it's far from the truth. Again, what the European Tour guys are there to help and improve things. And generally, if you get your golf course to a good tournament standard, your members are going to be more than happy with it once the tournament's over.
Exactly. So with all this traveling and all these different venues and so on, how did you manage your work-life balance?
It was quite easy with the tour. Well, no, we did, yeah, to an extent. It's a lifestyle choice working for the tour. When you're away, you work long hours, you work intensive hours, you fly a lot. You don't have structure, but that's a personal choice you make. But when you are at home, you do have downtime, and that's your time. Yes, you'll be answering emails, answering the phone, etc., writing reports, doing odd day visits, but it was very easily managed that when you were away, you worked, and when you were at home, then you could pick your downtime. So no, at the tour it wasn't. It was fairly easy to do. I think Neville's already into how I spend the time.
Yeah. So Neville on Monday. I don't think you know each other too well, but he remembers you from an incident at the Ryder Cup where you were mixing your work-life balance and your work together. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, well, for stress relief and to clear my head, I tend to run quite a bit. I like to train, so I had arrived at the Ryder Cup. Well, some of the other greenkeepers will tell you I go out running early in the morning to see what everybody's up to, and then I can go running at night, and I'll tend to run the golf course. But on the occasion it was the Ryder Cup, Alex, the greenkeeper Ryder Cup, he and Eddie Adams, who was my boss, both knew that I was going out. I'd just arrived from another tournament and had been given the morning off, so I decided I would go out and see the golf course, but not sitting in a buggy. So I think quite a few of the greenkeepers were alarmed and radioing in to say there was some idiot running around the golf course, to be informed that it was actually one of the European Tour Agronomy team. But
Lovely. Okay, so what was your favourite thing about working on the tour?
The end product, the satisfaction of completing a tournament. I love going into golf courses. Sounds terrible, but I loved going into golf courses with problems and being able to fix the problems. So being able to help people, being able to support guys, getting a final product after a stressful week is always very rewarding. So yeah, I loved that side of it. Meeting people, travelling, seeing the world. I never had any aspiration to travel as a youngster. That was never in my thought process or plans, but it kind of landed on my doorstep, and it was great when I did it.
Yeah, the European Tour is not Europe, is it? It's all over the world these days.
No, it's further afield than that. Yeah, I think the longest one I ever did was I flew to Korea for a day, which was hard going.
And I assume they didn't fly you business class, right?
Yes. At that point, it was business class, but things have now changed. So they do fly business class. There's a travel policy, depending on the times, depending how long the flights are.
And your least favourite part?
In the end, the travelling. The travelling became a lot. When you're doing 100 flights and 200 days away from home, constantly in airports, constantly hotels, it can get tedious. It sounds very glamorous, but it can become hard, and that was kind of when I decided, when I wasn't enjoying doing that was kind of when I started to think that maybe a change in my career was the way forward.
Absolutely. Sometimes the positive in a job can also be the negative. Eh?
Yeah, absolutely. When I first started, it was fantastic, going airplanes, flying here, there, and everywhere. And then towards the end, it was probably the thing that made me really start looking at other things.
Okay, so now you reached that point, and now you've switched over to probably in my mind, sounds like a really exciting role, being the director of agronomy for this new project of Gulf Saudi. It's quite a lot of changes, I guess. The weather, the heat, the grasses, and the use of water, and all those things. Well, tell us a little bit about Gulf Saudi, because it's quite an exciting thing in golf right now.
Yeah, no, it's massive. It's massive. Gulf Saudi is a subsidiary of the Saudi Arabian Golf Federation. It's set up primarily to encourage people to play golf, to encourage Saudis to play golf. At present, there's 5,000 golfers in the kingdom. Just over 100 of them are Saudis, and the aim is to have 37,000 golfers by 2040.
Wow.
They're going to. The whole thing is a vision. The whole thing of Gulf Saudi is it's a vision of His Excellency Yasser Al Rumayyan, and that's spearheaded by Majid Al Sarur, which are two golf enthusiasts who are really out to encourage the game and take it forward in Saudi Arabia. Part of the vision is mass participation will be huge. Trying to get people involved. That's obviously another side to what I'm actually involved in. The other side is we have created a green agenda to encourage biodiversity to the kingdom, enhance landscapes and build ecosystems within the golf courses. At the present, there is 3 billion birds fly across the Arabian Peninsula every year when they're emigrating. And the plan, we want to give them a reason to land in Saudi Arabia to help introduce the biodiversity of we want to build sustainable golf courses. That would be using as little water as properly, building the golf courses properly so that we have a chance to use no chemicals, use minimal water, equalise the carbon footprint of the golf course. We've signed partnerships with GEO, with STRI, with Atlas Turf to supply the correct turf to allow us to do that. They've brought some of the best heads in golf together. Use this plan that's all scientific based in a vision to become a golfing ecosystem, and as part of that is to create Saudis to create 3,500 jobs for Saudi nationals to work in golf and to go beyond and eventually make the whole thing sustainable in the country. So we need to put together an education program to get these guys so that we can be replaced by Saudi nationals, and everything will continue to grow. So the Saudi nationals will be the director of agronomy, will be the club manager, will be in these higher positions within golf courses. That's a long-term plan. There's lots of talented people in Saudi, but golf is such a small area at the moment that really we need to create interest, and to create interest, get people playing. From playing golf, then people become interested in working in golf, and we really want to move forward with that. I mean, it's such an exciting project. The aim to build golf courses, world-class golf courses, that will bring the world's best designers here to do it. But on the other end of the spectrum, to encourage people to play golf, we will have that par 3 golf course, that par 3 9-hole that will be easier for people to play, to be able to develop their game, to play golf and enjoy it, make it enjoyable for beginners so that they're not going to that very difficult 5-star golf course for the first outing. So the main aim
sounds amazing. So what sort of things would they be doing? Let's talk about the bird. I mean, that bird statistic is incredible. What sort of things are you doing that would would get a bird to land in Saudi Arabia, which doesn't normally land in Saudi Arabia. That sounds like...
So I mean, golf courses are a green area, but sometimes get a bad name for being non-sustainable and being bad for the environment, but that's not necessarily the case all the time. We want to get rid of that thought and start to plant the correct trees that would attract these birds and plant the correct plants to get these birds to look at landing there and nesting here, so that it increases everything. So we're looking at trees that would take the minimum water, but would still attract the birds in to come in and do it. So we're using minimal water just to be better, to be a better place in the golf course, to be good for the environment and be a place of beauty that is good for the environment.
Because grass doesn't want to grow in Saudi Arabia very easily, right? So you've got to be very selective on the grasses you choose.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, warm season at the moment, the golf course we've got a little, it's been overseeded previously, which we really need to get rid of. The cool season has no chance. But Riyadh has a very diverse temperature, so we can be down at 2 degrees in the winter, which I didn't know before I came here. And then we can go up to 55 degrees in the summer. So it really needs to be able to cope on a wide range. So looking at, do we overseed because then that needs water, or do we go down the route of pigments? We need to go into that to make it more sustainable.
And how many golf courses have they got at the moment in Saudi?
Currently, we've got the management of 2. In Saudi, I'm not actually sure how many golf courses are total in Saudi, but Golf Saudi manage 2 at present, and the other ones are due to go into construction shortly.
And how many more are they building?
That's to be announced.
Confirmed. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So there's so many goals for that project, and I guess you could talk about it all day long. And they're trying to. So the participation, the education, the environmental. Yeah. That's incredible.
It's absolutely amazing. It's mind-blowing what they're trying to do. I mean, when I first was offered the job, I was a little bit apprehensive. I had an interview with Elliot Gray, who talked to me about the project and was very enthusiastic, and the enthusiasm came across a Skype call. I was still apprehensive, the things that come with coming to Saudi Arabia, but when I've arrived, the project is mind-blowing, and it's not what I expected at all. It's way above and beyond what I ever thought the whole project would be. It's a fantastic opportunity and huge for the world of golf, really.
Yeah, when you say sustainable, is it also aiming to be financially sustainable? So when you think of Saudi, you think of that it's going to be thrown with millions and millions of dollars permanently to upkeep it. Is the aim to be self-sufficient financially as well?
Absolutely. That is part of the aim in the end, to be sustainable in every way.
And what are the biggest challenges with from moving to the European to moving to Golf Saudi, apart from the moving of your home? But I mean, in terms of your work, are you bringing in lots of international people?
We haven't brought in anybody at the moment. To start with, we will bring in international people, and then moving forward, we want to train people. We want to train locals to be able to take the jobs, but the expertise, because the golf industry is so new here, the expertise isn't here. So we will look to bring more people in.
All right. I just want to jump back to a question from one of the golf pros down in South Africa called Michael Schultz. I had him on the show a few weeks ago. He got a business called Bunker Armour. He's asking, in the build-up to European Tour events, what are the biggest problems relating to bunkers, i.e. plug lies, preparation, aesthetics, etc.?
What are the preparations?
What are the biggest problems?
The biggest problems? Generally too much sand. It's quite difficult now. The European Tour will do what they have to do to get the golf course as playable as possible. So whether that be water it, keeping the sand packed down, or whether it be digging out sand, various different things they would go upon. The USGA sand, as everybody knows, when they use it to construct the greens, it's made not to compact. And they put the same sand in the bunker because of the sand splash, but that is very difficult to compact and keep compact, especially in warm, hot countries. So generally, it comes down to removing sand.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Good. Okay. So now let's talk about I think you're fairly familiar for what we're doing down here at the African Turf Academy. We're trying to generate the next generation of golf course superintendents, and maybe one day they can come up and one or two can come and work in your team, maybe. But what advice would you give to a young guy setting out in his career in the turf industry?
Keep your mind open. There's something to be learned from everybody. Sometimes it might be what not to do. Sometimes it'll be what to do. And never be too proud to pick up the phone and ask a question. There's a huge network out there that people have great experience, and there's always somebody that's went through the same problem as you have. It's just finding that person or finding somebody that knows that person who will be able to help you out.
Yeah,
I'm still happy to pick up the phone to guys.
Yeah, I think it's crucial. I mean, it's a theme. I've obviously done quite a lot of these interviews now, but it's a theme that keeps getting pushed back to the youngsters: is don't start out and stick to one almost boss in the beginning. Try and grow your network, rely on more people, and get as many different experiences as you can from different people. Would you agree with that?
Yes, but I don't think you don't want to be somebody who jumps from project to project every 6 months. You want to have some longevity in it so that you do learn. It takes longer than 3 months and 6 months to learn a job, to learn what people have got to offer you. So I personally don't think it's a great idea jumping job to job every 6 months or every year. Sticking to something for a term. I mean, realistically, I would say you would want to stay places for 3 to 4 years minimum to actually learn what these people have got to teach you.
Okay, that's interesting. That's a different perspective. So it's good. So hang in there and do. I know a lot of corporate companies don't like you moving within 2 years. So there's also another message in that. Okay, and then mentorship. Have you had a mentor in your career? Anyone in particular?
I've had lots of mentors. I've had lots of mentors, lots of good guys, lots of guys very knowledgeable who have taught me. I mean, I mentioned Dee Morris and Chris Kennedy at Wentworth. They were very influential with me. Then moving to Spain, Tony Bonnet was fantastic with me. He looked after me a lot and helped me. I mean, woke me up to what I needed to know. And then moving to the tour, we had a great team. The guys in the Agronomy team were a great bunch. Graham McNiven, Eddie Adams, Eugene Hennessy, Richard Stillwell, all played a part for me. And all of these guys, I wouldn't be shy to pick up the phone and ask them if I thought they knew, and I don't, then I'm quite happy to phone up and ask them if they can help me.
Absolutely. Okay, guys, any of you watching, please fire questions. I'm going to go back to a couple of simple questions for you. Celtic or Rangers?
Neither.
Okay. Is that you being politically correct, or is that factual?
No, I'm a Kilmarnock supporter, always have been, hence James Bledge's question about Ayr United, which is our arch enemy.
Okay, the sea or the countryside?
Seaside.
Okay, and the Masters or the Open?
Oh, a tough one. It's probably the 2 weeks that I do set aside, that I do sit down and watch golf for a longer period. Masters.
Unless the Open's at St Andrews, right? Maybe. All right. Okay, that's pretty much it from me, Scott. If there's any guys out there who want to ask Scott a question, fire away. I've got a couple of things. What have you done? How have you negotiated your way through the coronavirus? Have you done anything differently?
We've been.
Are you open?
We were locked out. We're not open. No, we are closed. We were in lockdown for 2 weeks. We're now working on a curfew, but the golf course is still closed. So the workers are strictly under certain regulations. The workers are under restriction, and we're doing general maintenance. That's about it, and keeping the social distancing for them.
Any news on when that will change?
We are hopeful that we will open up the beginning of June. We're hopeful, but we're due to have another announcement shortly as to what will be the way forward after. I think it's in May. Sorry, I'm not exactly sure what date it is in May.
Yeah, last night we were told we're in lockdown until the end of May as well, and that's the next step when we wait. So we're still hanging around. Okay, yeah. And if people want to get in contact with you, Scott, your social media handles, any way that
you'll get me on.
So anyone can get in touch base with you.
You'll get me on LinkedIn. You'll get me on here. I prefer to do work stuff through LinkedIn or my email. I'm always happy to hear from people by email, which is scott.mclean@golfsaudi.com. And anything, I'm quite happy. I'm very open to being approached, and quite happy to answer any questions I can.
Maybe you would consider doing one of these to our students in the future when the class is open again, and they can fire questions at you from the floor.
Yeah, absolutely, no problem. As long as they're not too difficult ones.
No, I'm sure they won't be. And Michael Schultz asking again, in Saudi, what temperatures do you experience? You touched on that earlier, from 2 degrees all the way to 55.
Yeah, I mean, currently we are about 38. We're kind of varying between 35 and 39. It will go up to 55 come July, August. So we are getting a bit hotter, but it's actually a very different heat to what I expected. It's a very dry heat. It doesn't feel that draining way. It is hot, but it's not. It's quite pleasant. I haven't struggled with the heat at all, which I thought I might do. It's still to get to the peak, but no, it's actually very, very pleasant.
Okay. All right, Scott, thank you very much for giving us your time and your input. It's been great.
No problem.
Hopefully we'll be in touch again soon, and we'll chat about other things.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
All right. All right.
Cheers.
And he's asking if people play in 55 degrees.
Yes, they do, but they tend to play later in the evenings. Later in the evenings or early in the mornings. Through the peak of the heat will be a relatively quiet time for us, I hope.
Lovely. All right, Scott, thank you. Thanks again, and
okay.
We'll chat.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Thanks for giving us your time.
Not at all. Anytime.
Cheers.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.